You guys, that's okay. All right. Hi, folks. We want to get started this evening. Thanks so much for coming. My name is Carol Johnson. I'm the branch manager here at Pettit, but tonight I am wearing my Westcott Neighborhood Association hat because they are the hosts of this tonight. So just wanted to thank you all for coming. And I'm going to thank our candidates, Mo Moody and Maurice Mo Brown, for coming tonight. And I want to especially thank the League of Women Voters, and we'll let them take over from here and explain the rules of the forum. Thank you.
Thanks, Carol. I'm Jamie Traver, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters of the Syracuse metropolitan area. I'm going to be the moderator tonight. It's your opportunity to listen to these candidates. We have some cards already here with questions on them. We also have questions from Westcott Community Center. And please feel free to write more questions in. We'll get to them, hopefully all of them, in the course of the next hour and a half. Before we begin tonight, remind everyone, including myself, to turn off all phones or to least quiet them. And a word about the League of Women Voters, nonpartisan political organization dedicated to the informed and responsible participation of citizens in government. The League never supports or opposes any political candidate or party. This has been their policy for 100 years. Membership is open to anyone who is 16 years of age and older. And please consider joining the League. There are some information booklets here. Yes. They have produced an online voters guide at vote411.org. I gather it is incomplete for some purposes, but I have found it to be incredibly helpful personally to see what candidates stand for and to see what's on your individualized ballot. I realize that many of the people in the audience tonight may support one candidate over another. However, we're going to insist that candidates and audience treat each other with respect. Personal attacks will not be allowed. Thanks for submitting these questions, and please raise your hand if you need another card. We're going to try to review them to minimize repetitive questions. We'll try to group them. Dorothy is our timekeeper, and she's going to let the candidates know when there's 30 seconds and when you're out of time. We're going to have opening statements, and Mo Moody drew the first lot for that. So, and then for closing statements, we'll again start with Mo Moody and we'll end with Maurice Brown. And as the questions come up, we'll alternate who gets first crack at it, and they'll each have 3 minutes, which should be plenty of time to answer each of the questions. So, without further ado, let's start with opening statements, 3 minutes. Dorothy, you're ready? Mm-hmm. All right, and let's go ahead and begin.
All right, well, hi everyone. My name is Mo Moody. I'm running for County Legislature District 15. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, but as a free-thinking adult, I've made my home here in Syracuse. I've been here off and on since 2000, and more importantly, since 2018 is when I've actually brought my family here, and my son was born here in Syracuse. He's 9 months old. My children are in the school system. They currently go to Meacham Elementary, to Academy of Science. They both went to Meacham and just graduated to the next school. And I was part of Meacham's PTO. And I've been very interested in what's going on ever since I joined the PTO in Meacham, just because there's a lot of inconsistencies I saw around getting like a school bathroom for like the students. And more importantly, I wanted a security police camera from my block, which I requested from my common councilor, which I never received, or my community never received. So that involved me to get more involved and understanding it's the root of what are all these blockages and red tape of stopping the progression of such a wonderful city. I joined LGS, Leadership of Greater Syracuse, which is an incubator for politics. I went through the Political Leadership Institute, which gave me a solid foundation on why I wanted to run for county legislator. After graduating from there and after being involved, I did decide to run as an independent. I'm running on line E, and as an independent, I'm not running on a Republican line. I'm not running on a Democratic line. I wanted to try and stay as neutral and not biased as possible. Because what I've seen, unfortunately, is there's been a lot of fighting across the aisle from both sides of parties, and a lot of good initiatives and programs and fundings have been shot down just because it came from one party versus another. And what we really need is to distill and boil it down and say we're all fighting for a better life for our children. So with that being said, I am a former New York City police officer. I have a background. I was a banker in Washington, D.C. I also have the educational qualifications for this role. I have a master's in social science with a concentration in public administration. So what that means is that that's Binghamton University's hybrid double degree of a MSW and MPA. So it allows me to be connected as a human to the community while managing and writing legislation from a office point of view. My academic background plus my personal experiences, because even though I've been back and forth, I've lived in Washington, D.C., I've lived in Syracuse, I've lived in Binghamton, I've lived overseas in the Middle East. I've also lived in Belarus, which is a communist socialist country. So I have a very unique perspective. Also, with that being said, I'm an entrepreneur. I've had a construction company overseas, which I brought over here to Israel as well. I'm currently in the tech industry. I work in sales, so I also have that corporate experience, I have entrepreneurial experience, I have financial experience, I have law enforcement experience, plus I have the educational experience, and I'm a father. That's why I'm running for County Legislature District 15. Hi, everybody.
Thank you. All right, and now Maurice Brown.
Thank you. First, I do want to start by thanking Pettit Branch Library, Carol, folks, Westcott Neighbors, Legal Women Voters for putting this on. I know a lot goes into putting these together, so thank you for doing that work because, folks need to be educated on what's going on in their communities. So I'll start. My name is Maurice Brown, and I think that housing, healthcare, and education are human rights. And I think that the role of local government is to protect those human rights, make sure everybody has what they need. I'll talk a little bit about myself, but I more want to talk about the issues and how I want to help the community. A little about me. So I'm on leave right now because I'm getting my master's, but I work as a success coach at Onondaga Community College. I love it up there. I get to work with students and they still have hope. Life hasn't beaten them down yet. And I want to capture that hope and, help them ride it forward. I'm also a member of NYSIT, the teachers union. I was in the military, SU grad, OCC grad. You can learn more about me on my website. I don't want to talk as much about me because I do want to talk about the issues. So the two biggest reasons that I'm running are transportation and housing. I think that our county doesn't do enough in either of those areas. I think that our county's budget does not prioritize our people. And I think until our county's budget starts prioritizing people, we're going to remain in this situation. And I think we deserve better. I think that as far as housing in this community, we do a lot of student and luxury housing. I'm not against either of those. I think more housing is good, but I would like to see more low income housing. I'd like to see more affordable housing. I'd like to see more mixed use built. I'm a fan of the Westcott remix, they're calling it, up the block. I think that model is effective where, you bring the community together. They did a lot of outreach. And then the other thing I want to talk about is transportation. I am in favor of a bus rapid transit system for Onondaga County. So there's a pilot, I believe it's called, of the program that's going to run within the city of Syracuse. But the bus rapid transit system will ensure high-speed bus access along the major corridors of our city, helping folks get downtown to where most of our jobs are. Thank you. And I'm in favor of that. We can do all the workforce development that we want. If folks can't get to work, and if they don't have a home to go to after work, we're going to end up in the same situation, and that's not where I want to be. Looking forward to hearing your questions, and let's get to work.
Great. So, we'll then, start with you, Maurice Brown, for the questions. The first question I'm going to pose is, what impact do you expect the Micron project and its growing employee base to have in the city? Do you think we'll see Micron employees moving into our neighborhood?
Yes, and yes. So I think the Micron impact is going to be huge, not only in our community, but in the surrounding communities. They're working with, Cayuga Community College. They're working with SUNY Oswego, as well as SU and OCC. At OCC, so OCC is one of the training institutions for the Micron project, and I've gotten to learn a lot about what they're going to do through my role at OCC. I think we in the community need to be prepared for some realities that we're going to be forced to face very quickly. Specifically in housing. I'm going to talk about housing and transportation a bunch. You guys might get annoyed with me, but I'm going to go back to it. I think we need a lot more housing right now. Like right now, I don't think we have enough housing, and we're about to add, tens of thousands of people. I think if we don't get ahead of this, if we don't build housing, if we don't combat the sprawl that, you're going to see, I think we're going to end up in an even worse situation. Our county's budget doesn't prioritize this. I'm going to keep talking about that too. We fund things like aquariums, we fund things like marinas, and those things are good to visit. But if you bring 10,000 people into a region and they don't have anywhere to live, some of us are going to end up feeling that. And I don't want that for us or them. I think that we need to invest in housing, and I think we need to do it now. And as far as the jobs, Micron is in Clay. OCC, the biggest training facility, is in the town of Onondaga. If you live in the city of Syracuse and you don't drive, both of those are very inaccessible to you. We're not even giving our young people a chance. They are literally dealing with the outcomes of our inaction. So I think we need to, improve our transportation system to make it so that Micron opportunity is available to all of us and not just some of us.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, think about Micron. It's a wonderful opportunity for Onondaga County, for the city of Syracuse. One of the big things that everyone's drawing towards is to the jobs itself. So as a potential future county legislator, I already started to have meetings with Micron. I've sat down with a couple different executives. I just went to a couple different public hearings to get a full understanding of the scope of what they're looking to bring to the area. So one of the things that Micron has designated is actual jobs for residents within the city of Syracuse, and we have a percentage of that. And a portion of that is also going to be for people from lower income areas, predominantly south side and west side of District 15. So they already have that baked into the model. Now, combating sprawl is everyone's concern, especially here in Westcott. I've listened to everyone's concerns here. We definitely want development, but we don't want overdevelopment. We want to keep our neighborhoods the way that we are, because this is what made 315 strong what it is. So as a legislator, hearing your voice, it has to be a balance between the two, where one, we are prepared for the infrastructure to have those jobs coming in, plus getting our younger generation and anyone else who's looking for a career change and shift, which is totally on the table, to get them career ready. So boots on the ground. So when these opportunities comes, we're able to take advantage of it. Because what we don't want is this golden opportunity to come here in this area and all these jobs go outside of town, right? And then these individuals, when we say outside of town, the greater part of Syracuse, Clay, Jamesville, all the periphery, we're all a greater nation in itself. So the focus needs to be on being prepared for this job opportunity, having a place for them to go. We have these in their minds, having these in their decisions and meetings, and being a legislator involves being in that forefront to have the voice of District 15 heard and represented. Now, I've knocked on a bunch of doors, and most people from the south side, and especially over on like the west side of the district, their concern is that these jobs won't actually come from Micron to them. So from a legislative point of view, we can put funds to an initiative that will help recruit, get exposure, and have the ability to allow them to be able to make that shift. One, we have that already going from into the STEAM school, which is currently being built, which is going to be a launch grant also into Micron. But I also like to see that being done on a smaller microcosmic scale through the different communities and groups. So for example, you have like TNT that's in the Valley, or you have like Berry Parks Association, or all the other different organizations, 100 Black Men. where they're trying to build the school themselves. Part of that is getting our community ready to take on this opportunity. But as a legislator, hearing your concern, we do not want to lose our neighborhoods in the process. They're taking that in consideration. They're listening, they're hearing, and being your voice and your representative, I will do everything possible to make sure that your best interests are met. And we will take this opportunity, Micron, and we will go into another generation of wealth if we're prepared and we have the leadership steps up as a communal group. We together can take advantage of this opportunity. And I am doing everything possible to make that happen in those meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. And Mo Moody, will have you first. What do you see as the specific responsibilities of a county legislator that matter the most?
Very good question. Well, there's been a lot of misinformation about what a legislator can and can't do. So I want to make it very clear. The legislator has to make jurisdiction and policies and legislation, right? That legislation goes to the constituents. If I, for example, take lead, for example, we can put $4 million towards lead as a legislator. I can push that to the floor for that to be written to go through. However, the legislator does not do the administrative part. They don't get involved in the in and outs of that process. They hand it off to another agency or to a non-for-profit. Maybe at best, a legislator would sit on a committee. Usually what happens is that they assign someone on their behalf to represent them on the committee to have it follow through. So from a legislator's point of view, the job and the role itself, which is very important, is having a financial background. I have a financial background. I was a banker in Washington, D.C. I was schooled in the art of old money management and how to make your little bit of your revenue extremely double and get an ROI, return on investment. So as a legislator, the important thing is not losing sight on managing and maintaining a budget. It isn't just spend recklessly. It's about being able to put money back into the pot or to bring in new money to fund initiatives and things that we want in our community, like having security cameras for public safety or having monuments in our neighborhoods or statues to bring in outside artists. So a legislator's primary focus role is one, to be a voice, hear the people's opinions, then connect with the other legislators, have legislation put on the floor, put funds towards it, because it's really a big financial management job. And then passing the buck along, because that's why we have these checks and balances within our system and within our country. That's why the legislator has one role, and an administrator, like a mayor of a city, has another, right? So we can put money towards lead, but it still falls onto the mayor or the common council to enact it. But part of that is making sure that the topics are being heard, that the important key issues of the community is being addressed, like focusing around the aquarium or focusing around the zoo, or overall the bigger part, tourism, bringing in property sales tax or sales dollars, right? So the important point of the legislator is not losing focus on that. And I really want to strongly stress, okay? I've been running for about 10 months now. There's been a lot of misinformation about what a legislator can and can't do. It is not an activism platform. Actually, to be a legislator, you shouldn't actually be an activist, because your job is to create policy, put financial funds towards it, and pass the baton on to someone else. So as a legislator, I have the background, I have the experience, I am qualified to do that. And that is the most important thing as a legislator, making sure that the budget and balance is correct and we continue to be profitable so we can fund the social justice programs that we all want for our children and our neighbors and our family. Thank you.
I'll repeat the question. For Maurice Brown, what do you see as the specific responsibilities of a county legislator that matter the most?
Yeah, so I can answer it literally first, like the Wikipedia definition. The role of a county legislator is to vote and secure the budget and to meet with constituents in their representative areas. So Onondaga County is broken down into 17 legislative districts. We're running for the 15th. I'm hoping to represent you in the 15th, and I need to bring those needs to the budget meeting so that I can vote based on the needs of those districts. However, I think the role of a legislator extends beyond the Wikipedia definition. I think that we have some of the biggest voices in the community, and I think we need to use that voice to elevate issues. I disagree that we shouldn't think about policy. I think that we should think heavily about policy. So as the county legislature, for starters, we control the water. So Onondaga County controls our sewers, and for the most part, if anything gets done and we don't agree, we can stop the water. Not that we would do that, but I do think that when we're spending out money, when we're working with, community groups to say like, okay, home headquarters, you want money to invest in creating new houses in the city of Syracuse, we're able to say this money comes with that, you need to make sure a percentage of it is low income. You need to make sure that, the houses are done, et cetera, et cetera. I think it matters that we get into those weeds because the issues facing our county are so strong. Now, I do want to bring it back to the Wikipedia definition because the job is to vote on the budget. Onondaga County's budget is, in my opinion, at this moment, indefensibly immoral. I think that budgets are priority documents. If you show me your budget, I can show you your priorities. And if you look at our county budget, you can see our county's priorities are not people. So one of the biggest, examples that made headlines, one of our legislators voted against the budget because it didn't include enough money for lead. I agree with that. The rebuttal, so I want to say $250,000 more dollars towards lead was asked for, and that would have brought the total to about $11.5 million total for lead. You have to compare that number to a $90 million aquarium. You have to compare that $11.5 million to a $13 million marina. That is, to me, imbalanced. I speak to people in the community all the time. I think that the folks that I've talked to, the folks that I've met with, I think the folks in this room would much rather spend $20 million remediating lead than any money building up a marina. I do. I think that we need to do a better job of investing in our community. So that means, more money for lead. That means more money for transportation. I think buses and houses, if we don't take those seriously, we're going to end up in a bad situation.
All right. Maurice Brown, to you first. Crypto mining uses enormous amounts of energy to operate. It has been shown that energy costs to residential customers often rise significantly when crypto mining moves into an area due to the significant increase in demand for power. Would you support a ban on crypto mining in Onondaga County?
Yes. Okay. I'll do more. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Really, that's your answer? Just yes?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, look, first off, we live in America, which is supposed to be a country of the free. Now, some of us may have lived under a rock, but I myself lived in a communist country, socialist, where everything is pretty much banned. That's why I don't live there now. Right? I don't think that a county legislature should go to the point of automatically going into a ban. Now, I'm going to be very outspoken. I am not a fan of cryptocurrency. Okay. We've seen too much cryptocurrency spilling over into the political spectrum for not good purposes and use of dark money where there's not being recorded where these funds are coming from. I don't agree with that. However, someone has a financial background. Who am I to tell someone how to take care of their family, how to provide food for their table? However, being said, the bottom line is saying the question is by using crypto mining, that's going to be raising the cost of electricity for the everyday resident. Well, I've looked around. I did a couple studies, trying to find some studies. I haven't seen anything in the periphery of Onondaga County showing that this is coming in our direction. I don't see any data points that are assimilating or showing that there's a rise of cryptocurrency here causing our electric bill to go up. However, if the data points were to relate to that, okay, I think there's a couple alternatives before you go to an outright ban. One, there's public service announcement we can do as a county, put funds towards that and put it to another group to spread the awareness of crypto mining and how the rises. There are green solutions that we can partner with National Grid for the ones that want to do crypto mining, as in solar, wind, or hydro. We have a lot of waterways, air in the area. And if it does come to a point where this is an issue, I would consider a ban only after every opportunity was exhausted, because otherwise we're just being a socialist country, which I don't stand for. I'm American. I'm not going to do that. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. And now, heading off again, Marie, it has been mentioned by I think both of you. This question maybe we'll do in several parts, but looking to see what your position is on the aquarium in general. Secondly, your opinion about the study that projected its financial performance. And thirdly, once the aquarium is completed, will taxpayers, do you think it's a good idea that taxpayers be asked to pay the annual expenses and upkeep of the facility? Any estimates about what that annual operating budget might be?
Perfect question. Aquarium, hot topic on everyone's mind, right? First off, the aquarium in itself is a great deal. And let me take a step back before you start passing judgment. All right. When you have an aquarium into a city, right? Syracuse is a stage 3 city. Having an aquarium now puts in the category of stage 2, which means when it comes to outside investment, like Micron, which is bringing tons of jobs, and JMA and other wonderful things that are going to be attracted to this area, being a stage 2 city puts us on the top of a list. Because when you look at a stage 1 city, like New York City, and really the only difference between a stage 2 and a stage 1 is population. We don't have 1 million people here. And I don't think we're going to have 1 million people here, at least not in the time that I'm currently at as a legislator the next 2 years of this term. But with that being said, the aquarium allows us to be able to get more funds, more grants, more resources, and there's more of an attraction stop of why people want to be here. If you look at the actual case study, it says that if every single person that came to the Ross Park Zoo also that year came to the aquarium will pay for itself. Okay. Now, initially, everyone's concern is that, well, I don't know. There are some aquariums that are doing great and some aquariums that are not doing well. I've looked at a couple of case studies. There are the aquariums that are over in California, the aquarium in the Pacific. One of a very small aquarium in a small little area. It only had 1,500 people show up to that aquarium, and they still broke even. Because the aquarium does other things that's great for the environment. For one, be able to get research grants and helps the constituents of District 15 who may not see the seas or the oceans, who see the waterways, get a life and inspect on that. We can do grants for different research fundings. Also, if any animals need rescuing by having an aquarium, those animals get to come to that aquarium as a staging point. Now, mind you, we have Canada to our back. We have, Pennsylvania to our left and downstate. So we're in a center hub to be part of the aquarium. Outside of what just the aquarium gives you is research grants, a safe haven for animals, plus education. We see within the Ready with the Zoo that we're already making it free for the students to come on field trips. With the aquarium, that's another incentive. People in our next generation need outlets for education and for growth. Now, the big concern is going to be great. Well, what if the aquarium is not profitable, right? And it starts losing money. Well, the whole design of the aquarium in itself is not to be a burden on the taxpayers and on the constituents itself. Now, that's the design itself. Now, of course, things go sideways. We have pandemics, things happen. So we can never say in a perfect world that it won't fall onto our shoulders. But there will be checks and balances in place. I've spoke to about 9 so far of the legislators currently about their concerns about the project. They all have safeguards, and this is on the forefront. The aquarium itself has the ability to open up so many more doors than just the aquarium. Now, a really good aquarium, if you look at the aquarium in New England, all right, it is making $250 million a year for the city and $250 million for the state, right? That's $500 million. So what we're bringing to the table with the aquarium, if managed properly, that it can be a $500 million revenue machine. So all the things that we want to do for like getting lead workers to do lead remediation, if you wanted for some reason help with other things within the city and within the state, we'll have that ability. So what I'm saying in very simplicity, right? Don't look at the aquarium just for the aquarium itself. You have to look at all of the things that the aquarium gives to you. When you look at all the benefits and the cost benefit analysis, the aquarium potentially is a great deal, but it involves leadership carrying the baton and passing it on to the accounting organization to make sure that it is successful.
Thank you. Now, Maurice Brown, I'm going to repeat the question again. In general, what is your opinion about the aquarium? Secondly, what do you think about the study that projected its financial performance? And thirdly, once completed, will the taxpayers be asked to pay the annual expenses and upkeep? Are there any estimates available for what that annual operating budget might be?
Okay, the couple of questions. We'll do it 3 minutes. I do want to start by saying I'm probably as against the aquarium as one could be. I think it was a bad decision. I think we are landlocked. I think that it's just a terrible investment for a bunch of reasons. I want to talk about those reasons, but I also want to address the study because it was brought up. So that same study estimates that daily folks are going to commute from New York City and Toronto to come here to our aquarium daily. It estimates that those people are going to do that twice a year, I want to say. Correct me if I'm wrong. There are flaws in that study, and I could do 3 minutes just on the flaws of that study. However, that specific study says we won't turn a profit for 117 years. That study, which I think is flawed, that flawed study says that we have 117 years to turn a profit. So I think that's a bad investment. But I more think it's a bad investment because of what we need to do with that money. We are in a housing crisis. We are in a lead crisis. We have families living in hotels that can't get their kids to school because we need better buses. We need more housing. So I think that so the aquarium is paid for by American Rescue Plan Act money, so ARPA funds. So 2020 or 2021, actually, the federal government passed a bill, gave a lot of money to municipalities, but that money was given to municipalities all across the country. And now we have enough data to look across the country and see what other people built. So I use Kent County. I actually did a thing about this on my story. If you follow me at like Maurice Brown on Instagram, I talked about this at length because I think the aquarium is that bad of a project. But if you look at Kent County, Michigan, Grand Rapids area, they also received about $100 million, and they put $17 million to housing. They put $2 million towards mental health care. They put, they did a sports complex. They improved their sheriff's office. There's so many issues that this community needs that $80 million could get us so much closer on. Whether it's housing, whether it's workforce development. We need an aquarium-sized investment into transportation. We need an aquarium-sized investment into housing. That money, regardless of all the hypothetical dollars it could bring in, that money could have been spent better now. I think there are groups in this community doing great work around lead, great work around housing, great work around the environment, and they could have used $80 million. But instead, we want to do a vanity project, and I think it's a bad decision. I support Legislator Bill Kinney, who's calling for an environmental study to happen because the land that the aquarium will be on is, in fact, poisoned right now. And until that study is done, I don't think a shovel should hit the ground. Yeah.
You know that they're actually doing remediation on the land.
I'll certainly allow for.
Can I respond to this? You said a lot of things that were inconsistent.
You did too. I let you go though. Let's be clear.
I didn't count. And we'll give you 30 seconds to continue the conversation.
I appreciate that. Thank you. 30 seconds. Make it quick. Look, first of all, they're already doing remediation of the land already before, so that's not going to be an issue about the land being poisoned. So let's stop talking about
it. It is an issue. We paying for that.
Let's stop talking about it. No, they're paying for it out of their own money. So I don't know what you're talking about. You said 30 seconds. Now you're cutting me off. You're going to give me 30 seconds? Can I get my 30 seconds back?
Take your 30 seconds.
I appreciate it.
Give him 30 new seconds.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you very much. Thank you. One, we're already going to give remediation on the land for the aquarium, right? So that's not going to be an issue. Port's paying for it. You talk about a transportation system. We're already having $34 million getting put in by Centro, right? To have a 2-passenger BART line already. Will be an 8-passenger line ready process. I spoke to them, Bren, and everyone else in TMCS, right? So you raise up the transportation and housing. It's simple. Money's already there. You just want to spend more in Rexley. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Maurice Brown.
Yes.
I'm gonna ask you. Wow. What are your current views on your future political career after the outcome of this election?
That's a good question. Whoever asked that is very random. I appreciate that. So I want to be in the county legislature for 12 years. I actually believe in term limits, and I think that 12 years is a nice sweet spot. But I really like my job at OCC, and I couldn't move up without leaving that job. And therefore, it kind of limits me to what I can run for. going forward. We're doing great work up at OCC. I'm very proud of the students. I'm the program coordinator for the Extraordinary Men of Distinction. So it's the men of color on campus. OCC, like many other institutions of higher education, if you are a man of color, you are the least likely to graduate. The numbers are actually pretty devastating. So I'm working with other men of color in order to address that, in order to, we study together. We do community events together. And I love that work. I really do. Like I said, working at OCC, they haven't given up yet. Over time, life will beat you down. And these, 18, 19, 20, 23-year-olds, they haven't had that yet. And I want to protect that for them. And the way we do that, the way we make sure life doesn't beat them down is by making sure they have a good bus system, is by making sure that they have access to affordable housing. And I can do that. I can fight for that from the legislature while having my job at OCC. If OCC was to, for some reason, fire me, then maybe I would consider. But I really think that Onondaga County Legislature, the legislature itself, is the biggest problem in our community because a large portion of our money is not going back into the community. We're using just too much money on amphitheaters and aquariums and these, big vanity projects while leading the nation in child poverty. I can't live like that. I just couldn't, in good conscience, support these big, things, knowing that money could be used to, save a kid from being lead poisoned. So I'm gonna be on the ledge for a little bit.
Mamouni, then back to you. What are your current views on your future political career after the outcome of this election?
To be very honest, I'm very focused on this election, because regardless of the outcome of it, like, it's for our children. And it's about bringing in a Syracuse Renaissance era into this generation in our time. We have all the abilities and all the capabilities of doing that. So either as a legislator or not as a legislator, through my community network and through the different groups that I've spoken to, we'll continue to charge that effort forward. Because there's a lot of work that needs to happen here on a county level. But to be also very clear, the county is not the rich uncle that's supposed to be bailing out the city of Syracuse. The city of Syracuse's responsibility for a lot of things that my opponent is talking about, which is outside the scope of the legislature, right? To be very clear, it's outside the scope of the legislature. You just can't do half those things. So I think what I would like to see is get more education on what the roles are and what politician offices are, so the right people apply for those positions. This is a 10-month job application. If you haven't read the description, then I think that the future generation needs to know what a legislator can and can't do, what a common councilor can and can't do. So when you're looking at what a financial person should be doing versus an activist, and who's the best person for the role, we should be more education in the community and spreading awareness. So as a future legislator or someone who does not win this election, it is still going to be a win for the community because I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. Thank you.
May I get 30 seconds?
Yes, you may.
I'll be brief. I just want to strongly disagree that Onondaga County Legislature does not do business in the city of Syracuse. We live in the city of Syracuse. I'm running to represent districts in the city of Syracuse. I'm going to do business for the city of Syracuse. I think the Onondaga County Legislature not only has the right to help the city of Syracuse, but I think they have the mandate. We have work to get done in this city. We will never make it as a region without a thriving city core. And I want to be a part of making Syracuse a thriving city core. No. It's not.
Did I have 30 seconds?
No.
No. How are you going to say no to me? No. Look, it's not a mandate. Okay? It's not a mandate.
You can have as many rebuttals back and forth.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Look, it's not a mandate. First of all, legislation, there's jurisdiction. The county can't step on the city's toes. It cannot. Now the county can, but what you're arguing is saying is like, I'm on the side of the road and I give $1 to someone who's asking for money, and then they say, well, you need to put a house on my back and put a car in my hands because you're rich. All right. Now, granted, the county is helping the city, but they're tied by their hands. They are giving money to transportation. They are giving money to lead. They are giving money to other things where they do have the ability to spend money, which makes our quality of life better. They are like a marina.
I'm gonna take that 30 seconds. So if you look at the county, and the reason our county is able to do so well is because our city, the folks that work at the hospital. So half of the properties on the city tax roll are not taxable incomes. Like, they're not taxable things. They're hospitals, they're universities. They're things that don't generate revenue. And the people, our police department, 90% of the Syracuse Police Department does not live in the city of Syracuse. They live in Manlius. They live in Clay. However, that's our money too. Like, we paying tax dollars for the police, so the county can help, and help can look different ways. It's not just writing legislation, but yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, Mahmoody, do you feel the county has allocated enough money to address residential lead abatement problems in Onondaga County? And what, if any, what aspects of the lead problem do you see are as yet unaddressed?
Look, lead is a very hot topic. It's on everyone's top of mind. All right. First of all, I've seen some children, unfortunately, that have been poisoned by lead, and it's a tragedy. All right. So I want to stand very clear here that I do not support the current state of our lead situation that's going forward. Now, when you look at the county as a whole, even though they're not obligated to put any money towards lead, they have, because they're good people and they actually care and they're listening to their constituents. All right. This budget that just passed, they just put another $4 million towards lead removal. Of course, there was some requests for more additional money, and the pushback was very simple. There's already $4 million for lead treatment. Why do you need additional money? Use the $4 million. If that $4 million gets used up, then come and ask for more money. That's usually how legislation and politics goes hand in hand. You spend the funds that's given to you, right? Now, what's not being addressed in the lead, and which I want to be understand, even though it's not the county's jurisdiction, right? If you wanted to treat the lead issue, there's a couple pronged issues going on. One, we don't have enough certified lead remediation workers to take the lead out of our homes. So it doesn't matter how much money we throw at lead, okay? We don't have the people to take it out. The problem will still exist, period. Okay, the county needs to step in with public service announcements to recruit construction workers to get lead remediation done here. That is going to be step one, okay? Step two is that we don't have enough lead testers to test the people that are having lead in the issue. So it doesn't matter how much money we throw at getting lead solved. If we don't have the people, the HR issue, then we won't solve the problem. Okay, now we have put money into home headquarters and to land bank, and we have funds and grants to remove lead from the doors and from the windows and from the paint. But one thing that is always overlooked is going to be the water supply line pipe that comes from the municipality that runs under the sidewalk. That is like no man's land. And that it has lead in it. So it doesn't matter if the water is clean from the city and you take all the lead out of your homes. If the connecting pipe still has lead in it, you're still going to have a lead crisis, regardless of how much money you throw at the problem.
Not true.
I appreciate that. Okay. And if you think it's not true, that's fine. Everyone has their opinion and thoughts, but the whole point is of having lead. Now, the next thing we can do for the lead crisis from a county situation is that we can make a safe halfway home. When we want family homes and people have had these lead issues, they're in unsafe environments, we should have the county step in to put funds so that they have a safe place to go while their home is being treated or they have a new location to move to. That is something that can be done from a legislative grant money giving. Now, also another issue that revolves around the lead itself overall is just going to be awareness. Okay, it is not the county's issue, but as a future legislator, okay, it is top of mind of everybody. It's top of mind of me. And we're going to make sure that we have the qualified individuals to treat the problem. We'll have grants and the money is there. We have $4 million sitting right now. We should take some of that money, put it towards getting the remediation and the testing so that we have the ability to finally put an end to this crisis. Because I don't know how long we've been dealing with this, but it needs to come to an end, period.
Right. Maurice Brown, again, do you feel that the county has allocated enough money to address residential lead abatement, and what specific aspects of the problem do you think are unaddressed?
Okay, no, I don't think that we have allocated enough money towards lead. So I can't just let the misinformation. So the county runs the Department of Health. Department of Health does lead testing. That's 101. So I want to double our Department of Health. I think that for starters, during the pandemic, it was a pandemic. I think we should have doubled it then, because we needed to do the COVID testing. We needed to do those things. The Department of Health is, they're understaffed. I speak with CSEA. They work really hard, the county service workers, but they are operating from a deficit because they just don't have the bodies needed for lead testing, for remediation, for these trainings proposed by my opponent. But that's what we spend the money on. When we allocate more than, $11 million, so 11.25 or 43, it's not more than $11.5 million in our budget right now is for lead. $4 million of it is new money. However, I think we need a 9-figure investment into lead. I'm not joking. We need an aquarium-sized investment into our children. If a child is lead poisoned, it's really hard for them to come back from that. And there's a lot of children in our community that have to deal with that. So one of the biggest gaps I've noticed in talking to people is in the testing. So the testing will happen, and then there's like a gap before you hear from the county saying like, okay, here's what your options are. I think that's somewhere I would happily put, $80 million. I want to put an aquarium size investment into just that, because our people need to, our community, our constituents, our friends, our neighbors, our children, they need to know what's available to them. We do have a lot of resources available. I will say, if you are aware and you know how to work the county system, there are resources available to you. But the problem is that our county system is complicated and convoluted. I would love to spend money to make it less complicated, more user-friendly. That's going to mean, paying higher tax to fix the website. So when we talk about throwing money at lead, what we're really saying is using that money to do workforce development, to create more lead testers, to create more folks who can do lead remediations, folks who know how to use an XRF gun, things of that nature. Very random fact about me. I was a lead inspector in New York City for a couple years while in the reserve. And I do know how to use an XRF gun. But more than that is, I think that the county's budget, thank you. I think the county's budget is not nearly close to where it needs to be as far as lead, as far as people. I want to see that number at least doubled. I don't think $25 million would have been a lot to ask for, and we couldn't even ask for it.
Thank you.
Can I get 30 seconds on that, please?
You may.
All right. How much money do you think, Mr. Brown, should be put towards lead from the county taxpayer dollars, when it's not their obligation to do so in the first place?
$25 million.
Okay, you know that we've already put $50 million from a county towards that, plus another $4 million this year, and you want to do how much more?
$25 million.
What's your total? How much your total?
$25 million more than we're currently doing, sir.
Okay, and when you put that money towards that issue, you know that's where your job stops as a legislator. You're aware of that, right?
Yeah, that's a big part of the job.
Yeah, you're aware of that. It's part of the job.
That's a big part of the job, though. That's our job, the budget.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because it sounds like you want to be involved in activism, involved in seeing things done, but all you're doing is just being a legislator and putting money towards it, which is a problem for you. Thank you.
Ready for the next question?
Absolutely.
Maurice Brown?
Yes.
Nitrogen and phosphorus runoff from residential use on lawns appears to be harming Onondaga County rivers and lakes. Would you be in favor of allowing fertilizer use for farms and agricultural needs, but restricting the residential use of fertilizers in the county?
This is another really good question. So this issue I'm actually not as expert on. So I will say the exact answer to this, and the way we can find out, things like that, the way we can do those studies is by putting money towards it in the budget. Budgets are priority documents. I'm going to keep coming back to that. Our county's budget does not address people. We don't study soil on homes. We just don't do that. It's something we can do, or something we can pay people to do. But more than that is, I think that fundamentally we need to look into that. I'm not going to pretend to be the expert on farm workers and fertilizer and things of that nature. I would love to learn more about it. So whoever asked that question, I may attempt to follow up with you. But until I do more homework, I'm just not comfortable answering it. But I don't think that is funded at the level it should be, because a lot of county land is farmland, down in Tully, down in, Fabius and whatnot. And I think that, they are our people too. So we need to protect them. And if that looks like fertilizer testing and, making sure that, they have the right equipment to do the job, then I'm in favor of it. Yield the time.
Well, Moody, would you be in favor of restricting the residential use of fertilizers? Yes, no.
It's a great question. Well, I've looked into the research and data points, which is usually what someone would do in this position. And I haven't seen any studies that correlate to residential use. Now, there are studies that go to agricultural farm use. Now in District 15, there is actually one farm. There's only one farm in District 15, one farm in the city of Syracuse, Brady's Farm. I volunteer with them, not associated or endorsed by them, but, I volunteer there as a community member for 4 summers in a row outside of the summer when I was campaigning. Now, looking at the question of being an outright ban of fertilizer, as a legislator, you have to look at the entire spectrum of the district and the group and community that you're looking to represent. Now, if I was to ban fertilizer use on Kellogg Street and Congress on the west side, that means that the few homeowners that are trying to take care of their property won't have the ability to. And their houses will go down and be dilapidated. And that will cause the infrastructural breakdown of that community, which is also, if you look into the broken glass window theory, it goes hand in hand in that crime will go up. And those type of things will spill back into like Westcott. Now, banning fertilizer, no. There are studies that say that over by Tisco Lake and over at Skinny Atlas, where there are farms that are on top of the land, which is sloped down to the water, there are use. Now, from the county's point of view, there is a department called Soil and Water. Soil and Water is funded as an actual arm of the county, and they do testing and public service awareness on fertilizer use, etc. Big thing is we all like the waterways here, and we don't want to see anything happen to it. I swim here, our children swim here, and we like the boat and vacation here. So we want to protect that. But doing an outright ban, I don't think it's the outright direction to go. We need to take all facts in the matter, look into alternatives that will help break down this issue. And then if the data points were to show that residential use of fertilizer is harming our waterways, then I would absolutely consider a ban. But once again, we have to take all our residents in mind, quality of life for every individual, exhaust every possibility before we start saying to people, you can never do that again. Thank you.
All right, to start off with Mo Moody, then I'm going to phrase this question. What if any new initiatives would you as a legislator support, things that are not currently in the budget? And how would you propose to pay for new initiatives that cost additional monies?
Great. Well, look, one of the things I've always been talking about very vocally from my beginning of my campaign is going to be economic, social opportunities for small businesses and entrepreneurs, especially on the south side and the west side. So we have seen success in some models of bringing those type of programs to, like, for example, like the Salt City Market is another example of things that have been successful. There's a lot of underutilized properties and commercial real estate throughout the county, and more importantly, District 15, that can be reused and purposed for greater good. Now, when it comes to paying for these things, there's a couple of approaches that one can go from a legislative point of view. One is taking a look at what's already been allocated within the budget by doing an audit and see whether you can access funds or reassign funds to drive said initiatives. To get the initiatives going, one, I would at least need 9 other legislators buy-in. Then that would have to get passed over to the county executive for final approval, because we have these checks and balances. But to get those other 9 legislators' approvals, that I have to sit there and talk with them and negotiate and agree on what's going to be a win-win for everyone involved. Because when we're creating legislation, at least on the county level, it literally applies to the county, not just 100% to the district. So it has to be applicable to everyone else in the area. Now, also, there's opportunity to get grant matching or money funding from the state, from federal, and from other agencies. And if those resources hit an end, which is applicable within law, maybe looking for some of these not-for-profit money that's been put out, they'll be allowed to grant it. In essence, what we can do is take the money that we currently have, use the interest that we're getting from our bonds, right, to basically allow us to front the bill and ultimately get outside sources to pay for it. And in the long term, if that doesn't work, we are a very lucrative county, and we potentially can't afford to spend it for different initiatives. But my overall goal is going to be very focused and very simple. It's economic growth. It's going to be career expansion that we're proud of, and allowing us to be able to have a roof over our head and make sure that home is safe to live in and that our streets are ideal. Because I have children, I have daughters. I want them to grow up in Syracuse safe, the way that I've walked the streets safe. But it's a work in progress. So to get things funded is going to be a tie-in, one of community buy-in, because I'm not going to do an initiative based just on me. My biggest thing is going to be town hall meetings. I'm going to be sitting here like now, talking to constituents, holding up a whiteboard and say, do we want the aquarium? Yes. Do we want the aquarium? No. Do we want lead removal? Yes. Do we want lead removal? No. And if the district, just whatever it is, and if the district says yes or no to the initiative, we have community buy-in. Then we have to have community buy-in with the greater community through the other legislators. Then we have to have buy-in from the county executive. Then I would reach out to other branches and see how they're doing it. We have Broome, we have Syracuse, Rochester and other areas. We have other states and other locations, networking and talking to make sure that this deal would be ideal. So when the initiative hits the floor, it is not I win and you lose today, or you win and I lose tomorrow. It is literally just a win-win. That's how you get it funded. Thank you.
Maurice Brown,
Yes.
Two initiatives, new initiatives that you might be in favor of, not currently funded by the county. And if so, how would you propose to pay for those
You
initiatives?
said two specifically? Okay. I didn't hear that. That's interesting. So the one that like immediately came up and honestly feels like a waste of an initiative because I think we should just be doing this already. But I want a citizens review board for the county sheriff's office. So we had an officer involved shooting. I'm sure everyone has read the news. And, not everyone feels the officer reacted accordingly. I think that the city has a citizens review board and it allows it's a way we can interact with the police who ultimately work for us. The county doesn't have such a body. I think that the county should. I'm actually trying to get on the public safety committee if elected, but for that purpose of creating a citizens review board. And another thing that I want to talk about, but I only got two, was a public defender's office. I'm going to pass on that one because I would be remiss if I wasted my second initiative and I didn't talk about housing. For starters, I think the county needs a housing committee. I think that housing is that important of an issue in the area. I think we should treat it at the same scale as economic development and public safety. What I want the housing committee to do is study how we do housing in this area. I want them to look at what grants are available from the state, what grants are available from the federal government. How can we leverage those grants to improve how we do housing in this community? We don't do that homework. We don't have a housing committee on the county legislature, which I think is a miss, but I would like to establish that. That's something I would like to establish. So the way that you pay for both of these things, granted, one is very low cost, a CRB. The county is operating at a surplus. I want to say our rainy day fund is 9 figures. Mary, correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say about $160 million. And that money is our money. We're saving it for a rainier day. I think it's raining pretty hard right now in our community. I don't know what rainy day we're waiting for, but I would like to dig into that money and use it on our people. I think any money you invest in people is a good investment. These are our people. We can't just sit idly by as people get lead poisoned, as, people go unhoused if there's something we can do about it. So the thing we can do about it is creating a housing committee and having that committee study what would equitable housing look like in this area. Thank you.
I have some questions that are specific to the candidate or asked of the candidate. I'm going to go ahead with those, but I'm also going to make sure that that each of you has a chance to respond or critique the response.
Yes, sir.
So Maurice Brown, what changes in the cost of the transit system do you propose? In other words, what would be the total cost of your best ideas for the transit system for the taxpayers? And how do you intend to get more people to use the transit system?
Good question. So in New York City, actually, they're running a pilot right now. So on buses, I want to say it's the B60 to B48, correct me if I'm wrong, but these buses are high frequency use and they go down like their major corridors, and those buses are currently free. That's being paid for by the state of New York. So I think New York State, if they can afford to pay for New York City folks to have free buses on high-speed routes, I think we deserve just as much as them. So I think that one of the changes I would like to see is I want the cost of ridership to go down to zero. I think that the buses should be free. I think an equitable community can do that. I know for a fact the state of New York can afford it because they did it for New York City. And I think we deserve just as much as they do. What was the other part?
How do you intend to get people to use this transit?
Got it. Yeah. So honestly, so if you look at like big communities in the world, honestly, I'll use New York City as another example. Folks use the public transit system because it is available. The bus is always there. It's coming. It's fast. It's frequent. If folks view our buses as their best option, as their most, efficient option, they're going to use them. If you try and go downtown right now, parking is a mess. If we had an efficient busing system, I actually do take the bus downtown. I don't know if you all know this, but I look like a student. So I'm able to just get on the connective corridor bus, and that's actually how I go downtown. But for those who don't look like a student, everyone deserves that opportunity. I like being able to go downtown without my car because I can, just wander aimlessly and I don't have to worry about driving home that evening. I think everyone deserves that. I think that once we make public transit a viable transportation option, then we will see the increase in ridership. It kind of sounds like if you build it, they will come. But I do think that until it's seen as someone's best option, we're always going to compete with the mighty car. And right now, it's not the best option because we haven't funded it, because we haven't, put in good public transportation. So that's the answer.
Well, what do you mean?
Yeah. I have a quick question here. You are aware that Centro, right, one of our good partners to the legislator, is already creating a 2-passenger line, and the reason why they haven't done 8 because you can't do 8 right out the gate.
I'm going to interrupt you for the sake of all of us to just remind us the distinction between 2-passenger line and 8.
Say that again.
What does that mean, the term 2-passenger line? And
so when you're creating a rapid transit line, the way that gets laid out is that you start with 2 lines at first, right? The cost prohibited to go to 8 lines. If you want to do 8 lines right now, it's $250 million of the taxpaying dollars. Now, Centro is already paying this to do this already. As in, you keep talking about transportation, it's already coming. There's a 2-passenger line. No, don't interrupt me. There's already a 2-passenger line. All right. There's already going to be a bus on demand system to address the food deserts. They're also going to be teaming up with the Blue Scooters, VO, I'm excusing on the name, right, to have more access and not leaving the scooters all around. So basically, the public transportation system that you keep talking about is already coming and is not going to come from the taxpaying dollars. So I'm very mind-boggled about why you keep talking about this, because the solution's already on the way. Period.
Response? Okay. This is for Mo Moody. And I'm not familiar with this, so others in the audience may not be as well. One of the audience members is wanting your opinion about the Moms for Liberty. I'll leave it at that.
Wow, that is a great question. I'm glad this was actually brought up. So as a legislator, right, you're supposed to reach out and go out to your community and hear everyone's voice and opinion, period. So if you look at my Salt City Index, which is a podcast, I've interviewed various influencers and still continuing to interview influencers throughout the county of Syracuse. Now, very clearly on my disclaimer and out there is I don't share the views of my guests. I don't endorse these guests. The guests don't endorse me. All right. This is a non-biased neutral platform. So, of course, word crafting and looking on people's emotions and feelings to win votes is to say that I'm the president of Moms for Liberty because I had Joe Dunaway on my show. Now, how is an individual supposed to solve a problem or solution if you don't talk to both sides of the argument? Period. All right. Now, Moms for Liberty is a group. I'm not endorsed by them. I don't receive money from them. I'm not connected to them in any shape or form. However, right, that is not being spread about me by by my opposition here. My opposition is saying that I'm connected to this group, that I'm the president of this group, and I'm not. So if that's the thinking and logic, then it must be that I'm the president of 100 Black Men. I'm a president of OGs Against Violence, and any other person that's been on my show. So I don't know why we're talking about this connection to me, because it has nothing to do with me.
Question was, what's your opinion of them? The question was, what is your opinion of Mounds for Liberty?
So I assume you wrote the question, sir?
Sorry?
He's assuming you wrote the question.
Did you write the question?
Yeah, but I didn't turn it in. Someone else did.
Fair enough. What's my opinion on Moms for Liberty? Moms for Liberty is a group. They are involved in our community. And it is my job to put a spotlight onto that group so people can make their own decisions on that particular group itself. And as a legislator, right, I need to be able to step in and represent all sides of the community, understand their point of views and where they stand. So that was the reason why I had them on my show. That's my opinion on the group.
That's not.
We're going to ask if you have questions or please bring them forward on the next call. Do you have any?
Yeah, I'll just say that, Moms for Liberty, the Proud Boys, these hate groups that monger hate, and they're trying to, sow discontent in the community. I think they have no place in our community. I get you want to hear both sides, but if the Ku Klux Klan showed up and held a rally, I'm not gonna check it out just to hear them out. Like, we can do our homework and see what groups stand for. They don't stand for what I think this community stands for.
Okay.
I'll give me 30 seconds on that. I'm sorry. This tied to me. This tied to me. I'm sorry.
Right.
So you're saying that I support hate groups? I mean, that's basically the direction that you're trying to spin this on. So look, I mean, I'm not endorsed by any group that currently is supporting the burning of flags. There was a rally held in Times Square by DSA in against Israel. You've never spoke out about that. You're endorsed by them. You received money from them. That sounds like a hate group, if anything, versus me who just has someone on a podcast show. That's it. Thank you.
All right. We're going to go to the last question now. Explain to, and this will be to Mo first. Explain to what degree and how you would support the Board of Elections.
Say it again. Say how I repeat the question.
To what degree and how would you support our county Board of Elections?
County Board of Elections. Look, the County Board of Elections does a very major, crucial role in politics, making sure things are fair and things are counted. And what I've heard is that they are not getting the staffing that they need to address the concerns. So I've heard. I mean, I'd like to see more data points, of all that. Well, how I would support them is make sure that they have fully representation, they have the people they need to fulfill their job roles, that they feel accounted for. Me personally, recently I was looking into what it took to do like a recount, to check things. It takes a lot of time and resources. It's a important fabric of our political system. So they need to be supported. As a legislator, I will definitely would make sure that they have the funding and the resources that they need to be successful. And also lean on other legislators to make sure that they see that point of view, because it's very important that our checks and balances are upheld. And part of that is supporting the board of the Board of Elections. Period. I'm in support of them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I 100%, I want to support the Board of Elections. I think this is something we agree on. I think that there are specific ways we can support them. So if you look in Erie County, for early voting, every town in early voting has their own early voting site, and we don't. And it's because our Board of Elections is underfunded. So we have to pick and choose where to put them. I want that for us. I think if Erie County can have, I think it's 34 early voting sites. I think we can have 34 early voting sites. Right now we have 8. And 8's okay. Everyone should vote early. Early voting starts Saturday. I hope you all will join me. I'm going to be voting at Southwest. However, I think that our Board of Elections, in speaking with the employees and speaking with Michelle Sardo, Dustin Zarni, the commissioners, they struggle because every year they have to fight for funding, and they shouldn't have to fight for it. This is a fundamental part of democracy. We need an effective Board of Elections, especially going into a presidential year. but I want to make it so that they don't have to fight for just what they need. And honestly, I want them to go further. I like the poll pads. I like that they were able to get the poll pads. I think it's more efficient than going through the voter roll when you can just look someone's name up. But initiatives like that, it takes creativity. It takes, somebody willing to go the extra mile. And that's who you'll be voting for if you get me.
Thank you. Before we hear closing statements, I want to thank everyone here for demonstrating your civic concern by attending this event, and especially the candidates for the respect you showed throughout the evening. We do want to just point out that we do have some information on the literature table, and also information can be obtained from the www.vote411.org site that the League of Women Voters have across the country. But they use specific local information to present nonpartisan views on candidates and ballot initiatives. Don't forget that early voting starts on October 28th through November 6th at any of the 10 sites, or vote on Tuesday, November 7th at your assigned polling place. Again, thank you for coming. And we'll begin closing statements with Mo Brown.
Well, first off, thank you, everyone. I know that this is probably gonna be like our last public, hearing or seeing before the actual time to vote. So everything is coming down, to this, pivotal moment of 10 months of basically applying for a job application. I want to extremely stress from the very beginning that I'm actually qualified for the role. I do know what a legislator can and can't do. I made a lot of connections and headway within the community. And, the most important thing that I really want to boil down and focus is that if you look at all of my actions and why am I doing this is because I'm fighting for everyone in this room. I'm fighting for a brighter future for our children. And part of that is understanding the job that you're applying for. And I am qualified for the role. And not only will I do above and beyond, is that I'm going to be able to lean on a lot of different groups and peoples to make sure that we have our voice heard and our goals are achieved. And it's very crucial, it's very important that we don't lose sight of that. Now, I truly enjoyed this entire process of running to be in the public eye. I've learned a lot and grown a lot. And you've seen me on this journey, and we're just getting started. And this is the beginning of a Syracuse Renaissance era. It's really on our forefront. We have all the resources, all the financial backing, we have all the right people in the right place. And if you really boil down what's the true difference between me and my opposition, is that I'm not going to get the county broke on getting our goals that we both basically want, because I understand the job, I understand the role. Simple as that. I'm about economic growth, financial stability, safe streets. My opposition is about activism, which he's unfortunately going to realize that he can't do 90% of the things that he's promised you. Every check that I've sold and promised to you, I will cash. You will see within 2 years if my opposition gets elected, he's not going to be able to do a thing. He's made way too many enemies. He has all the wrong endorsements, and he's made too many enemies within the county legislature. So even if all of his friends were to win, he still will not get anything done. So throw everything out the window. You focus on this. A vote for me actually will bring change. A vote for Mr. Brown, nothing will happen. Simple as that. Thank you for my time. I'm very grateful for being seen here, and love nothing more than represent everyone. And thank you.
Maurice Brown.
Thank you. Yeah. So I do want to apologize. I feel like I kind of got out of character. I got agitated, and that's not who I am as a person. I want to tell you all who I am as a person. I do want to thank you all for coming here. It is Monday night, and it is 7:45 p.m. and y'all are in the library learning about the community. That's not normal. Thank you all for being not normal, because we need more not normal in today's society. I'm not normal. I'm not your normal candidate, and I'm okay with that. My campaign isn't about me. It's about us. I'm not going to shout, my personal, not my personal accolades, the things I've accomplished. Yes, I am a veteran. Yes, I'm an SUOCC grad, but that's not what this campaign is about. This campaign is about that we've been working to improve this community since about 2017. So for the past 6 years, I've been working to improve the county. So I want you to judge me by who supports me. I'm endorsed by Mary Kuhn, current county legislator who's doing the job very well, I might add, who I'm very proud of that endorsement. I'm not going to run from that. I'm endorsed by the right people. I'm endorsed by Senator Rachel May, who also is doing her job as a state senator very well. I'm very happy to have these endorsements because these are people who are doing the job well. They know the job and they know that I'm going to be the right person for the job. I've also been endorsed by several labor unions, NICET, which is my union, so that one's not as exciting, but I'm also endorsed by 1199, the healthcare workers, and most importantly to this role, I'm endorsed by CSEA, the County Service Employees Association. They are the people who are doing the work at the county level. They are the people that when I'm asking for money, it's going to go to them. And they're doing this work every day and they support me. And that means a lot to me. I have their support. The reason these people are supporting me is because they know my work ethic. They know that I'm not going to take no for an answer if the community needs a yes. They know that I'm willing to go the extra mile. I'm also willing to be here at 7:45 on a Monday night. They know that I'm someone who's gonna put in the work needed to restore our county. I don't think our county is at its potential. I don't. I think we can do a lot better. And I think the way we do that is by investing in our people. I think until we invest in our people, we can invest in our buildings, we can invest in our aquariums. Until we invest in our people, I think we're gonna be lacking. I want you all to learn more about me, join our team. You can learn more about us on our website, www.electmauricebrown.com. You can learn about my qualifications, you can learn about my plans, but most importantly, you can join the team. I really do want everyone's feedback because this is a community effort and, without you all, without us, we have nothing. Let's get to work.
Thank you. So we'll have a round of applause for both. To our host, the National Library
Westcott Neighborhood Association,
the jewel of our civic and educational life. And here, especially for this particular library, I want to say it's just a great community, a gem. So invest in it.